Welcome to Clarity Design. This is a tutorial from 2013 and we're looking at attaching objects to motion paths to generate animation. We could go into quite a lot of depth with this, but we're just going to skim the surface today, and I'm just going to show you some of the basics of animating in this way. I've got a basic object here, a little cone, which is being squished down slightly. It would work with any polygon object, so you don't need to worry about the object in particular. And I've generated a CV curve just by going to create CV curve, drawing the curve on the grid and then lifting it up. Let's press enter to finish that. I'm just going to delete that because I don't need it. I haven't renamed either of the objects just for this tutorial, so we're going to get going straight away. So what we want to do is select both objects that we want to work with, so the line and the object that we want to attach to it, and we need to make sure we're in the animation menu set up here, and then we're going to go to animate. We're going to go down to motion paths and attach to motion path, and you want to go into the options, and in these options you can set up the axis for the front and the up axis, which are probably the most important, so the X, Y and Z, which directions they go. And the other one which is pretty important here is this follow. If you've got a camera which you are getting to trace along a line at the same pace as a path, for example, you might not want the camera to follow the path in terms of where it's looking or the direction it's pointing, so you can switch that off to free up the axis, so that it means it can rotate around and look at other objects rather than just staying along the line of the path. In this case we're producing a kind of vehicle that's flying along, so we want it to follow. You'll see what I mean in a second. And also you've got the time slider up here, so you can start, you can tell it when to start and finish. At the moment we've only got 2 seconds, so we'll just make that a little bit longer, 200 frames, and we'll make it so that we can see that. In fact, I'll make it so you can see 180, and then I'm going to drag it so I can't see the first 20, and then when it says time slider, hopefully that'll set a slightly different thing. So let's attach. Okay, so it's attached it to the path, and if I click play I can see it's working. You can see the end frame there is 200 and the start frame there is 21, so that's going to follow around the path. Now my animation is set to play back at 24 frames per second, or it should be. So just in here in your animation preferences you can click on that, you can set that to real time 24 frames. If you want to do that, if you haven't done already, click save and head back to your animation. That will make sure it's playing at the correct sort of speed. So there you go, 200 frames playing around, moving around a path. Really nice, really easy to do, but it's pointing in the wrong direction. So how do we change that? Well, in the channel bar you've got the motion path. Motion path 1 has been generated in the history. You've got some options in there we're going to use in a minute. If you want to get to the other properties, you need to go to the attribute editor, and you need to go along until you find motion path, and then you'll find the options that you had earlier. So you can see follow is here, and you've got front and up axis, and so obviously the up axis is wrong here. We actually want it to be, I think, X to be the up axis, and that would go very wrong because it's saying both X is up and front, and so the front axis should be Z in this case, I think, and that should put us about right. No, that's not right at all. Let's go back to here so that we can see at the beginning. Okay, so that's Y axis is the front axis in this occasion, and we'll stick so it can be quite difficult to work out, but you can play around with it till you get it right. So there we go, I'm happy with that now. That's going to fly along nicely and look a little bit spaceshipy. So there we go, off it goes. Now the problem is maybe we want to change the timings, maybe we want to get angles to change, so it's very rarely that you'll want to attach something to a path and just have it follow the path basically like this. So what else can we do with this? Let's go let's go back to the channel menu, and we'll go back to motion path 1 here. It's just a little bit easy to see and use. Now the U value is the progress that it's making along the path. Okay, so if this is 0 and this is 1, this would be half. So if this is half by the middle frame, which would be 100, okay, so that should be nearly at 5. So if I want to speed up the beginning, or slow down the beginning so it doesn't get as far by this point in time, I can reduce that number. So let's go back to frame 50, and we're just going to get it to go really slow. So that says 0.7, so I'm going to change that 0.2. Okay, so it's barely started. Okay, I'm going to key selected, so let's right click, go up till you find key selected and let go, and that will key that in. You can see a red tick mark has appeared here. So that, off we go, nice and slow, and then it starts taking off. So really obvious kind of change in speed for you there. So you can see what happens. And again, I could do the opposite. I could speed it up as well by increasing this number according to where the frame is, and so I can generate faster and slower patches. So let's say that by here, we want to keyframe that exactly the same as it is, so there's been no change. And then by this one here, I want to have increased the speed, so it's 2.45, so let's make that 3.5. So it's 3.5, isn't it? Or 3.5, and that gets it to there, and then right click, key selected, and so we should see it speed up again. So it goes slow, speeds up a bit, speeds up more, then slows back down again. Okay, so you've got kind of this little whooshing action happening, and if you go into the animation graph, which is down here, you can start editing that so that you can see the path there, and you can start playing around with those animation points to make them a little bit more user friendly, a little bit more organic. So what else do I want to show you? Oh yeah, okay, so we'll angle it as well. So as it goes around the corner, we want to angle the ship so that it goes round the corner on an angle like an aeroplane would. So we're just going to change the front twist here, which is going to angle it sideways. You can see how that's doing. Let me zoom in. So I can angle it sideways. So what I'm doing there is I've highlighted the letters, the word there, front twist, and I'm just pulling side to side with the middle mouse button depressed down. So that's how to change that. And again, it's just as simple as it was before. Just add some keyframes in. So we stick that back on 0, right click, key selected. As it starts moving around the corner, we'll just key select that. So we'll just change that angle. Let's get so you can see it. Change that angle so it's on the corner, and key selected. And then we'll just move it around to the end of the corner and stick that back to 0 and key selected. Okay. And that gives you your basic animation. So we're going to leave it there for now. I'm going to do one more little tutorial in a little while, which goes a little bit further with how we can mix keyframe animation with a motion path, and I'll be starting from this point. But you get the general idea of how to control a motion path. Good luck. Hope you enjoyed it.